Since the 1950s, scientists have been discovering the mysterious chemicals that make food delicious and have been manufacturing them in factories. Every year, the world consumes more than 1 million tons of fake flavoring.
Hey everyone, this is Julie and welcome again to my SOFHAB Reviews segment. Today, I'm back to covering a new book, and this time it's called The Dorito Effect. It's not really new, it came out in 2015, but it's an important book that I really think you should know about. And believe it or not, joining me for this today is Rascal Entertainment.
Hello.
Now, Rascal is the one who actually found out about this book and got it from the library. And when she read it, she said, I really think you should read this when I finish it. And I'm so glad that she did. This book reveals how almost everything we eat has been flavor enhanced for decades to make us eat more, and why regular food has become bland tasting in the process. And when we say for decades, we're talking beginning in the 50s.
Yeah.
But
Before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on SOFHAB reviews and so much more.
yes, and thank you for joining us today, subscribing to any and all of our channels, and commenting. We appreciate you guys very, very much. I know I make videos talking about the perils of ultra-processed food and different things, and sometimes you want to hear it, and sometimes Phoenix and Playmaker, you don't. It's okay. But when you get something this in-depth and important, we want to share it. Hopefully you will watch the whole thing, you will listen, and you may get the book yourself. And it's so important that I wanted Rascal to join me because she read it first from cover to cover, and then I read it. So between the two of us, we should be able to succinctly, in a short period of time, get you the information that you need to know about the Dorito effect.
Yes.
So before we get started, we know most of you probably love Doritos.
Right.
And I used to eat Doritos probably into my 20s.
And I ate them a lot too.
30s, right. And Doritos were fantastic. They were delicious. My favorite was taco. What was yours?
Nacho cheese.
And we learned that taco was first, nacho cheese was second, and then ranch was third before all proliferation of other flavors. And I think it's important that he uses the Dorito effect to point this out, because Doritos are known worldwide. There's anybody who doesn't know what a Dorito is, and probably what's in it if you read the bag. So I think it was a great title for the book and a great way to get people to relax and be open to listening to what he has to say.
Right.
So you see the cover on the book is called The Dorito Effect, The Surprising New Truth About Food and Flavor, written by Mark Schatzker. It's one of the most important health and food books I've read, quoting Dr. David Agus, New York Times bestselling author of The End of Illness and A Short Guide to a Long Life. As we mentioned, this was written in 2015. The worst part of this is that things have gotten infinitely worse since this book was written, which means the companies didn't listen. They just went in and got him even heavier on adding these artificial and so-called natural ingredients. So, since you discovered the book, Rascal, can you read the back cover for us?
Sure thing. Have you ever wondered why those perfect red tomatoes from the supermarket taste like tap water? Oh gosh. And whether a simple roast chicken always required half a pound of seasoning? It's no illusion. The flavor of the food we eat is changing, and has been for more than half a century. Technology now lets us produce in the lab the very flavors that have been lost on the farm, and the result is what we have utterly transformed what and how much we eat. With in-depth historical and scientific research, the Dorito effect casts the food crisis in a fascinating new light. We have an enthralling new tale of how we got to this point and where we are headed. Remember, this is 2015 when this book came out. We've been telling ourselves that our addiction to flavor is the problem, but it's actually the solution. We're on the cusp of a new revolution in agriculture that will allow us to eat healthier and live longer by enjoying flavor the way nature intended.
Yes. Now, before coming to do this, we watched a couple of videos online. I'll put links in the description in case you want to go see them. One was like a preview for the book or a trailer. One he appeared on, is it not Good Morning? Yeah, Good Morning America.
I think so, yeah.
And they kind of made fun of him, kept saying, you said, which really was a slap in the face, because you could tell they didn't want to hear what he had to say or believe him. And then there's another one that's a 30-minute interview, which really allows him to get into it. So if you want more details without having to read the book, we recommend going to the 30-minute interview and listening to what he has to say. getting the condensed version. Why this really impressed me is because Russell kept saying it's important. You're not going to believe when you buy a certain brand of spices and herbs, they've all been adulterated and things are being added to it to make it taste more flavorful, and that's why it tastes good. And I was like, what? And I said,
Yeah.
Okay.
And we bought this brand too.
And so tell me, before I get into anything else, what got you to get this book from the library, and why did you feel it was something that was important enough for you to read? And it's not about literature and anime and comics and so forth. I know you read more than that, but these type of books you generally don't read unless I ask you to. But you were the one who got this one. So.
Right. So, only learned about this book because we were watching a video on YouTube that had to do with Dr. Oz. And believe it or not, the author of this book actually worked on Dr. Oz's show. And he wrote this. And they had him in one segment, they were talking about pizza. And it was the same thing that was actually mentioned within the book on how the stuff's been enhanced, especially the cheese, to make people want to eat more slices. And by the end of his segment and in the video, they showed the book itself called Dorito Effect and about the flavors. And it piqued my interest because one used to eat takeout pizza a lot.
Yeah.
And
we had Pizza Hut and Domino's. I couldn't stand Papa John's. We've
Right.
had it, but ugh.
Right.
So yeah, we used to eat them, but we don't eat takeout pizza anymore at all.
Right. And the second thing would be growing up, end up realizing that I had issues when it came to eating food additives and food colorings didn't know were in there, and were causing either body issues or they were causing skin issues.
And some of them could also cause behavioral issues,
Right.
especially the ones that are food colors combined with sugar.
Right. So there was a plan as I grew up where I was taking off a lot of those things for alternatives or just cold turkey, and saw a big transformation.
So
I was
glad
thinking-
that you
So-
were the type of child who didn't listen.
Right.
Because you could have said, no, I want my Skittles now. But
But seeing this years later, it got me to thinking, well, what else could possibly be having these enhanced things? Because there's so much that we don't eat and so many brands we don't eat now because of that. Then got the book finally and started reading it, and it was way more than you thought, because it's even the stuff you buy almost every day that's commonplace, or stuff that's one of the most popular brands in the world that you buy, and all the stuff's been enhanced. Like, no wonder they're the best sellers.
and the saddest part is it doesn't matter if it's organic or not.
Yeah.
Some organic companies are using these things. So what we learned from the book is that a lot of times people are struggling with their food intake, they're struggling with their diet, they're struggling with their weight. And many things is because they have no willpower or they can't do it, and just any myriad of things that they're told by weight loss centers and books and so forth. Well, Schatzer says that a missing part of that food puzzle is the flavoring, as we mentioned, drawing on advances ranging from the brain science of food addiction to how plants communicate with insects. The Dorito effect shows how we have interfered with a highly sophisticated chemical language that evolved to guide our nutrition. So we learned that you've seen it on probably lots of packages of food you bought where it says artificial flavors. Well, you know when you see artificial, if you just don't care, you stay away from it. So we thought we were doing great. Woo! We stay away from artificial flavors. But then you've also seen natural flavors. And you've seen it say natural flavors from organic sources. You've seen it say natural flavors from plant sources. And you're like, oh, that's okay, that's safe. Well, the Dorito effect lets you know it's not. Because
No.
every single artificial, natural, whatever flavor, no matter the source, is chemicals.
Yep. If it's got the word flavor, that means it's a chemical or additive.
And these chemicals cause us to eat more than we want to. Take, for example, let's go back to the Dorito. The Dorito used to have a very short list of ingredients, especially when in the 50s, which is, I was stunned to learn the Doritos began in 1950 as just a tortilla chip with no flavoring and didn't do well.
Right.
And it's funny because you fast forward to now and everyone and his mother sells a brand of tortilla chips. And then you got to later on where they did some testing in labs and discovered that if you put different flavors on, hey, it was more appealing and more taste test tantalizing. So the first flavor was taco, and they wanted to make it taste like a taco you would get from a Mexican restaurant. Whether they succeeded or not, I wouldn't know, because that was the 50s. Fast forward to when I started eating Dorito tacos, they tasted really good. Then after that was successful, they went to nacho cheese. Now nacho cheese was supposed to taste like nacho cheese. It really doesn't, but it tastes good. And fast forward to you, when you were a kid, nacho cheese was huge. Then they went to the ranch flavor, which came probably in the 2010s, if I'm not mistaken. And that became the third best-selling flavor. The problem is, when you think about it, none of these taste like a taco or nacho cheese or ranch dressing.
They don't.
And fast forward to 2025, because we're going to go past the time the book was printed. Look on a bag of Doritos, and there's an insane amount of ingredients on regardless whatever flavor it is. Every flavor has a ton of ingredients. And 95% of those ingredients are chemicals. Probably the water, the corn maybe, and something else are what it's supposed to be. But it's probably genetically modified corn, because it doesn't have a non-GMO label. The water's probably dirty water. The salt's probably iodized salt. And you don't know how, what else is in it.
It's like the animated song where they were reading all the ingredients in ice cream, and they made a whole entire song out of it because it was all chemicals.
Yes. And it's disturbing when you look at that. Probably right before COVID-19, there were about 30 flavors of Doritos, and they were having contests where people would create flavors and they would pick the best and make it. And it was ridiculous, the flavors they were coming out with. Absolutely crazy. And the flavors were all chemicals. And what Shasta explains is that there are over 200,000 chemical flavors that are being created since the 50s. And they're used to flavor foods without investing money in the real foods that create those flavors. They're also used to cheapen the cost of whatever they're producing. And last but not least, they're used to activate our taste buds so that we are catalyzed into eating more of whatever it is we're eating that tastes really, really good. And if you notice, when you eat foods that don't have natural flavors and artificial flavors and natural this and whatever they're claiming in them, your brain tends to tell you, I've had enough of that. You can stop eating, and you stop. But when you have all these different foods, regardless of what it is, whether it's cereal, chips, meats, whatever, everything you eat practically has artificial flavors, including chicken. If you're not one person who cooks, ask your parents. They buy these chickens by different brands, and I'm going to name Purdue because I've stopped buying Purdue. You got Purdue, you got Tyson, and others. And you'll read the label, and it says injected with a 14% water solution. It's not a water solution, guys. It's artificial flavors being added so that the chicken tastes like something. Because from what we've learned from that book, chicken doesn't even taste like chicken. Because the chickens that your grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents ate long ago are different from the chickens that are mass-produced and quick bred to sell on the market.
That's correct. And one of the last things I had gotten from there would be that the chicken thing, it actually mentioned in there where someone had a dilemma of trying to make a chicken that was like a mother used to make, and no matter what, it didn't taste like it. Then got to a brand that sold or bred heirloom chickens. And if you're at heirloom tamales, it's in the same vein where it's made from the same descendant of the same chicken, and they've had no bioengineered things added to them. They haven't been given corn and soy. They haven't been put with chemicals. They're raised exactly as they were from decades or even a century
ago. And they really roam free for real. And eat grass and bugs and things like chickens are supposed to.
And then when the person ate this chicken, it tasted like the one they grew up with. And They explain that this has started decades ago, and it's why the chickens are so bland, as you said, to breed them where they grow so fast and so quickly. But
Plus
their
filled
taste is
with
gone.
antibiotics.
Right, but they have no flavor. But if you get heirloom chicken or heirloom cows or these heirloom animals, then you rarely have to add no seasoning at all to the meat.
Salt and pepper.
Yeah. Aside from that, you don't have to add much. The flavor is already within the meat, and the same goes for all the fruits and vegetables, which have all the same effect of being hyperbred to lose flavor just so it can get out quicker.
Well, I found this interesting because I never thought about it when I cook, and also when I do my raw vegan recipes. I don't have to use as many ingredients for it to taste good when I'm doing raw vegan or even vegan.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm doing meat for family or parties or all these different dishes where you're using vegetables, I never thought about, sometimes a recipe has 30 ingredients just so it tastes like what it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I've cooked on many occasions where someone has said the meat isn't tender enough, and even if you've cooked it for hours, it's not tender, and they mention that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or it doesn't taste good without having to add all these different rubs and marinades and salt baths and things to make the meat taste good, and that shouldn't have to happen.
Right.
But that is what's happened, and it's what's been happening for decades. Why is this important for you? Is can make you aware of not just, the other buzzwords like calories, carbs, fats, and things, but you really need to pay more attention to what's being put into your food and what you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
Besides it not tasting like anything, and besides having to have all these added to taste like something, a lot of these so-called natural additives and artificial flavors and natural flavors and so forth can have dire impact on your health, not just physically, but your brain and mental health, your breathing. It's just amazing where the source of some of these additives come from. You wouldn't believe. Everyone's heard about vanilla coming from a beaver's butt. Everyone's heard about one of the red colors coming from a beetle's red shell. But it gets way worse than that when you read the book. Right. And some of these things are not fit for human consumption, but they're being allowed to be sold as flavoring, natural, because it comes from a bug or a butt. It's not natural because they take those flavors and even synthesize them even more into a chemical compound that costs so cheap.
Pennies.
We were reading in one, he said exactly that for 20,000 gallons of a particular flavor, it costs less than $100. That's scary. And they're buying these and flavoring your foods with it. You're not getting natural cherry flavor. You're getting cherry flavor created in a lab. You're not getting natural strawberry, banana. It's being created in a lab. You're not getting natural smoke, hickory, or any of that. It's being created in a lab.
Yeah.
You're putting these things in your body, ingesting them, and you're risking your health. If you want to have children, you're risking your family, your children's health. If you're cooking for others, you're risking their health. And it's just something we wanted to make you aware of. Now, you're free, as I always say, to choose how you want to live your life and what you want to eat. And we're not telling you and belittling you or anything. We just want to share this information because it's made a difference for us quickly. After reading this book, thank you so much, Rascal, I started making sure not to buy any products that said natural flavors, organic flavors, artificial flavors, nothing like that. And the proof in the pudding was one of our family members likes to eat those Tootsie Roll Pops with the different flavors on them. And every now and then I have one. And in the past it tasted so good to me, but I wouldn't eat the center of the Tootsie Roll. I throw it away. Well, after reading this book a few days later, I got a strawberry flavor one. And I was eating on it, sucking on it. And then within 2 minutes, my brain said, this tastes like crap. Yeah. I said, oh, and I almost threw up. And I threw it in the trash and rinsed my mouth out with water. That's never happened before. So know this. It's true. Once you take these artificial flavors and so-called natural flavors out of your meal plans and diet, and you stop eating them, your body rejects them. Now, maybe that's something you don't want to happen, and if that's the case, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to be healthy, you want to stop having chemicals deciding what tastes good for you instead of your own palate, I recommend just maybe for a few days, stop eating them and see what difference it makes for you when you try to eat something that has any of these so-called natural flavors or artificial flavors. Your tongue will reject them. I was so stunned and happy that now we know there's a difference, and it's going to be beneficial not just taste-wise when we're really tasting the flavor of foods, but also health-wise. So what's the last comment you'd like to make or advice you'd like to give to anyone listening?
Right.
Why they should really take a look at the video or read the book?
Right. I would say if you really want to know, because again, there's gonna be some people that are fine with eating as they are. They don't want to know the extra stuff, or some might find out and they still want to eat it because it tastes good and it's fine. But if you're really concerned for yourself or your family or something about what are you eating, or you're attempting to eat better and you cut things out, but there's still not as many changes you would like, this would definitely be helpful, so you know what to cut out, what to avoid, what keywords for food, ingredient lists to look for, and maybe try to find some brands that don't use chemicals or antibiotics, they like to call it, or places that have meat and you know that the meat is not only clean, but it's also close or is an heirloom animal, so you're getting all the flavor you want in the meats when you're cooking or barbecuing, and you're not trying to add 30,000 seasonings to it.
And they do exist. The last thing I would like to contribute is, in the book, when he wrote in 2015, he says, well, the stuff that tastes like the food it is, it doesn't have all these extra ingredients and things, costs more. And now you know why. Because they're giving you real food. Well, you know, I have a whole video playlist of how to save money shopping and so forth. You can still do this without spending a lot of money just to get the fruits and vegetables to taste like they're supposed to. The meats that are safe to eat and don't have the extra solutions and have them being bred to death. And for getting spices and herbs, if you buy them jarred or dried or whatever, that don't have the artificial enhancers that make you think you're tasting something you don't.
Right.
If you want some suggestions, let me know in the comments. But you can do this affordably. It will not jack up your grocery bill to where you can afford it. I've been doing it for the past 2 weeks, and trust me when I say the bill actually has gotten cheaper because it's been easier for me to buy, not buying a bunch of products that have flavor enhancers in them as well.
Right.
So if you've read The Dorito Effect or even watched the 30-some minute interview, we recommend it. Let us know in the comments. What do you think is important to you? Or, you know, honestly tell us if you just don't care and you think we are, the writer and us are being overcritical. Let us know in the comments why. We just, you know, we're interested in knowing your thoughts. And if you haven't, we definitely highly recommend you get this from the library and or watch the video in the description. Come back and tell us what you think.
And be sure to like, subscribe, include notification bell to get updates on SOFHAB reviews and so many other videos.
Yes, and thank you so much again for joining us, Rascal. You're always welcome.
Yes, and you're welcome on my channel too.
Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us for this special video. We hope we're being helpful. And again, we're not trying to be preachy and to tell you what to do. We never would do that. But we just want to share this information with you, and you can do with it as you would like. As always,
you are special. I'm Rascal.
I'm Julie.
Have a fantastic day.
Continue to be happy, healthy, whole, and also wonderful, my specials. See you next time.
This is the story of what happened to flavor and what we can do about it. It's called the Dorito Effect.